Welcome to Placid News TV. Middle East crisis. The US struck Yemen's presidential palace. Houthis humiliated. You don't negotiate with terrorists. You crush them. You wipe them out. Eliminate them from the face of the earth. You don't make peace with evil. You don't allow evil to be among you. You give evil an inch, they will take over the entire country. A must watch. Relax. Watch this video. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share.
According to reports, Israel struck Lebanon as well. So what is going on here? What's happening here in the Middle East? Let me break this down for you. The United States, as I've said, has struck Yemen's presidential palace in Sana'a, the capital. This is the second time that the U.S. is hitting the Houthi leadership, right where it hurts. And many people are asking, why does the U.S. need to do that? What is going on? Are we going to see the war resumes in the Middle East? Are we going to see sirens in Israel? Perhaps Iran's going to advance its nuclear weapon. We also report that Iran is weeks away from the capability, from having enough uranium to have a nuclear bomb. Obviously, that does not mean all the other components, but is this why we're seeing that the United States is taking this to the next level of preventing Iran under the leadership of Trump? There's a lot to talk about, but I have to begin with this. Make no mistake, this is not just about the Houthis in Yemen. This is about Iran and its entire terror network. The Houthis are Iran's last functioning proxy in the region after Hezbollah and Hamas have taken major hits. And now, the Houthis are also crumbling. So while this is happening, as I said, Israel is striking Hezbollah deep in Lebanon, just a few moments ago. The past week, Israel also struck several times in Lebanon, including today, also in Syria, according to reports. So something big is happening, and I really feel like we are only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Iran is slowly losing its grip on the Middle East. It has spent decades building a network of terror using the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and militias in Syria and Iraq. They were supposed to be the Ayatollah's insurance policy. What does it mean? A way to terrorize the region without having to take responsibility, without having to get the Iranian hands dirty, if I can put it this way. But now we see that their strategy is falling apart. And you know what? It's about time. So this is the second round. Again, I'm saying this because it's just mind-blowing. The second round of heavy U.S. airstrikes on the Houthis in Yemen. The first wave that we saw just yesterday killed over 50 terrorists, including senior commanders, and now the presidential palace is in flames. I think actually the U.S. strike was 2 days ago. But with the number of strikes that we're seeing in the Middle East on terrorism, it's a good thing that it's hard to keep up with that. But what did the Houthis do to deserve this? Well, just a few months of attacking global shipping, threatening international waters in the Red Sea, and launching missiles at Israel. Of course, in case you did not know, the Houthi flag has a slogan that literally says, this is what their flag is all about. It says, Allahu Akbar, God is the greatest. Death to America comes first. Death to Israel comes second. Curse on the Jews. And victory to Islam. These are their goals. Yeah, that's right. The Houthis have openly threatened to strike Israel and now America too. And it looks like President Trump is not really excited about the Houthi threats. So, and we know exactly who's pulling the strings behind them. It's the Islamic regime in Iran. So the U.S. strikes are actually a long overdue response. Trump, he made it clear he said every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon as a shot fired by Iran. Iran will suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. I love this because this is how you deal with terrorists. You don't negotiate with them, you crush them, you wipe them out, you eliminate them from the face of the earth. You cannot make peace with evil. And let me be clear, you cannot allow evil to live among you. This is not just my opinion, it's God's commandment to Israel. When the Israelites were entering the promised land, God commanded them to eliminate the Amalekites, a nation of brutal, merciless enemies who attacked Israel without provocation. The Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, they're the modern day Amalekites. And what did God say about them? You shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Do not forget. This is in Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 19. But this is not just history. This is a lesson for today. If you allow evil to exist, it'll grow. If you allow terrorists to attack you, they'll keep attacking. The only way to stop them is to destroy them completely. Israel understands this. Trump understands this. But we globalists, they think you can negotiate with terrorists. You can't. You literally cannot. Iran has been using the Houthis to terrorize the region for years. They provided them with drones, missiles, and training. But now, Iran is suddenly trying to distance itself from them because Iran said, after Trump's remarks that I just read to you guys, saying that every shot fired by the Houthis is coming from Iran, all of a sudden they're saying, well, they're an independent entity. We don't know what they're talking about. Well, if the Houthis are pushed into the corner, the next step could be a direct hit on Iranian soil. Iran knows that. They know that if Trump is willing to strike Yemen, he won't hesitate to strike Iranian military targets next. Perhaps the U.S. can do that on the way back, not to save some fuel. Iran's entire strategy is collapsing. This is amazing. Right in front of our eyes. Hamas losing ground in Gaza. Hezbollah losing fighters, their terrorists and weapons in Lebanon. The Syrian militias, they're being eliminated by Israel weekly. The Houthis, they're losing their leaders and bases to U.S. strikes. This is not a coincidence. This is the systematic dismantling of Iran's terror empire. Now, while the U.S. is busy in Yemen, as I've said, Israel is not sitting still. The IDF has been targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in Lebanon, the Iranian weapons depots in Syria. Two Hezbollah operatives were actually taken out in southern Lebanon this week. There was this also report that a rifle's bullet was fired from Lebanon into Israel, hit a car. No one was wounded, but after Israel concluded the investigation that it came from Lebanon, we saw airstrikes on Lebanon. And this is exactly how you need to deal with terrorists. If they fire a bullet, double your response. You need to speak with terrorists in a language they understand. And Israel has also been destroying weapons storage sites in Lebanon. Military headquarters in Syria were targeted, cutting off Iranian supply routes. The Iranians are really feeling it. Let me just tell you this. This is precision warfare. Every strike weakens Iran's ability to wage war against Israel. I said it earlier. The ceasefire in Gaza technically ended, and the future of the ceasefire in Lebanon is actually currently being negotiated. Israel is not at ceasefire right now because our enemies are not ceasing with their plans to destroy the one and only Jewish country in the world. Israel should not and must not stop the strikes on terror. Every single country, even the most liberal one, would have done the same thing we are doing if they were under existential threat. Let me tell you that. It's the easiest thing to criticize and condemn Israel from a very comfortable seat in The Hague or some other international forum. But once they feel, what does it mean to live and to face an existential threat, they'll be the greatest supporters of Israel, because Israel excels at doing that while doing the utmost best to avoid civilian casualties, because we are not fighting civilians. We are fighting terror that actually takes civilians as hostages. Now, I want to talk to you about the biggest threat of all, and that is Iran's nuclear program. I'm going to say something interesting. Listen, hear me out. We have 4 years of President Trump in office, right? But Netanyahu is only in power until 2026, because technically that's the year of elections in Israel. That means, if we look at this from this perspective, that means that the window to strike Iran's nuclear sites with these two leaders is closing. Iran is watching. They're testing how far they can go before someone stops them. They have been conducting air defense drills specifically to prepare for an Israeli airstrike. And actually, I think it was just last week, Iran, China, and Russia just had, by the way, a massive naval drill together. Why? Because they feel like something is coming. And to be real, Israel will not allow, as Prime Minister Netanyahu said himself, will not allow Iran to have a nuclear bomb. We saw that the Israeli Air Force actually acquired 3 more fighter jets, F-35 fighter jets that arrived from the United States. We bought them. The IDF and the U.S. Air Force just conducted a joint exercise with a B-52 bomber. A clear message to Iran, if you ask me. The Israeli Air Force has logged over 15 hours, combat fight hours, since the war began. This is unheard of. This is insane. This is not just another drill. This is a preparation for a massive operation. If Iran crosses the red line, they will be hit, period. Now, shifting to Gaza, meanwhile, Hamas is playing games with hostage negotiations, trying to drag them as long as possible. We see that they refused the Witkoff proposal. They refused to Buller's proposal before he stepped down. But then after he stepped down, all of a sudden they decided that, oh yeah, we actually accept his proposal, not the other proposal. Look, you can see through their lies. I think that Hamas, at this point, understands that when Israel gets all the hostages back, it'll be the end of Hamas. And therefore, they're probably trying to prolong their days as much as they can. But here's the truth. Israel will not be waiting forever, and it has been a goal to bring the hostages back. I think that all the hostages should be brought back home. It's just unthinkable that we need to justify why we need to fight Hamas that still holds hostages, civilians, for over a year, including bodies. They don't even let the bodies rest in peace. So Israel's military is actually preparing for the next phase of operations if Hamas doesn't take the deal soon. We saw the defense minister, Israel Katz, said that if things are going to escalate, we will know what means we are going to deal for Hamas. More leaders dead, more tunnels destroyed, more terrorists eliminated. Israel does not forget, we have dozens of hostages still in Gaza. We're not stopping until every terrorist who participated in October 7 is paying the price for that. Now, to conclude this report, I just have to say everything happening right now is connected. The U.S. hammering the Houthis, Iran losing control over its proxies, Israel dismantling Hezbollah and Hamas and also jihadists in Syria. There is a very special window of opportunities in the Middle East, and it is closing, and I feel like the Allied forces are trying to take as much opportunity as possible. But let me tell you something. This is time to act. Weak leaders hesitate. Strong leaders seize the moment Iran is being cornered like never before. The Iranian people don't support this own regime. They feel like they've been taken hostage by this radical regime. That's what they're telling me. So I have to say, if the right decisions are made in the next 2 years, or I don't know how long things are going to take, but we could see the fall of this Islamic regime in Iran, freedom being brought to Iranian people, and this is going to be a great day for peace, those who love democracy and freedom, and a bad day for those that do not wish to see peace in the Middle East. So, but if the West hesitates, of course, if weak politicians take over, we could see Iran rising again, stronger than before. This is why we cannot afford weakness. If you give evil an inch, it'll take your entire country.